Today, we have a musician that drums like no other. He plays every instrument, started with his brothers. From Warped Tour stages to the biggest stadiums in the game, everything he touches, he's leaving his name. He hits harder than most. Watch videos and he'll prove it. Give him any gig, he'll never lose it. From nails to a foo, he's a master of grooving. Make a ton of noise for Ilan Rubin.
How can I not listen to you after that? That was great. It sounded like the trailer to my origin story documentary. And then it just ended on a peak I didn't know was possible.
Oh, a new height.
Yeah.
Welcome to the top of the mountain, Ilan.
Go.
Wow. Let's drink Coke. Love kicking it, man.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We have another incredible guest for you today. An amazing drummer, an amazing multi-instrumentalist, the new drummer of the Foo Fighters, Mr. Ilan Rubin. Ilan and I go way back, so it was really fun to reminisce on a bunch of old stories that I'm sure he prefers we didn't talk about. But we had a great time, and Ilan's an awesome guy. He's one of the greatest musicians out there. He was the drummer and multi-instrumentalist for 9 Inch Nails for so many years. He's also in Angels Airwaves and many other bands. He's known for many projects. Ilan hasn't done a lot of interviews, and this is his first time talking about the Foo Fighters, so we have a great time talking about it and pulling a lot of stories out of him. So much love to Ilan, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. I want to give a big shout out to our friends at Moises. If you're a musician, producer, musical director, and you need stems fast, Moises is the best platform for you. I use Moises a lot as a musical director. Whenever I need to access stems from a song that I can't ever get, Moises is the place that I go to. They make it easy as possible. It's like magic. You drag and drop that song into Moises and it immediately separates the stems. So whether you're just looking to dive deeper into a song that you love, or you're studying something and you want to learn how to play it, or you want to track yourself without that instrument, Moises is the platform for that. So if you're interested, check out moises.ai. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And if you've watched the show before, welcome back. And if you're new, hello, how are you? We do the show every single week with all the best musicians, producers, artists, etc. in the music world. So please like and subscribe and share with your music-loving friends. We've been growing really, really fast recently, and we appreciate all your love and support. And if you'd love to support us the most extra amount you possibly can, we have our Patreon channel, which is patreon.com/go-with-Elmo. We really do truly greatly appreciate your support. Me and my small team work hard on this every single week, and we have a great time putting it together for you. So without further ado, here is my interview with the awesome Ilan Rubin.
Thank you for having me.
Man, thanks for coming over.
It's my pleasure.
It's great to see you, bro.
Great to see you as well. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I was thinking earlier today when it was that we toured together for a few weeks, and I think that was possibly over 10 years ago, which is terrifying.
I think it was 10 years ago. It was 2016.
Oh my God.
Because it was the last tour I did before Jam Card came out, and Jam Card came out Feb 2017.
There you go. It's been a decade.
It's been but I've seen you since then.
I know, but that's when we spent the most time together. That was a daily basis for a few weeks.
It was.
So obviously it's present in mind whenever I think about you, which is all the time. And I was realizing today, oh my God, that could have been 10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll just say this too. We're going to talk about this later. We'll get into the backstory of Ilan, but like,
oh, great.
The fact that where you were in your career, playing in Nails and everything at the time, and doing your solo project and driving a van and being in the van and loading in your merch and selling your merch and everything. I gained a lot of respect for you during that tour. When I saw you, I was like, this guy's hustling, even though he's in the Four Seasons right before, and now.
Well, it's nice to know that you respect me. I appreciate that. I didn't know until now, but
it was for that moment.
Yeah. 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's expired. Well, honestly, you can't let the good times spoil you.
Yeah.
Yeah. you always can't expect the good times to be all the time.
Yes.
So if that's what I want to do, if I want to go play small shows, get my own stuff out there, I have to expect to do it as anybody else would.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, you're constantly rewarded, and you, my friend, are now in the Foo Fighters.
This is true. Yeah.
Bro, you're in the Foo Fighters.
But before we continue, do you have any other sound effects on those buttons, or is it just that one?
I'll use them in appropriate moments.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm prepared for more now. So, yeah.
How does it feel to be in the Foo Fighters, dude?
It feels fantastic. Well, you know, what can I say? It's something that came out of nowhere last year, and I couldn't be happier, to be honest with you.
Okay, so how did you get the gig with the Foo Fighters?
Well, at some point in time, I got a call from Dave. We talked about some stuff. He knew that my touring commitments at the time were coming to an end, and I was available after that. I mean, I know that's a bit of a vague way of putting it, but
I'll ask more direct questions.
yeah, I mean, you know, there's some delicacy here because I went from a band I'd played with for almost 17 years.
9 Inch
You know,
Nails.
so that was that was an end of a lengthy, extensive
Yeah.
era for me.
Yeah.
And this new chapter has been incredible. Still very new, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know how long it's been, maybe 6-7 months, give or take. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's been incredible. The most outgoing, inviting people and organization,
Yeah.
and kind of just feeling like everything fits like a glove is great, especially after having played with so many bands for such a long time. Not saying that those weren't great in their own right, but I'm very much a creature of habit. So I like to stay where I am. You know, even though my career kind of unexpectedly turned into this thing where I've played with multiple bands, that was never my intention, ever.
Mm.
But, you know, I stay where I go, and going into a whole new world can be very daunting, but it's just been so welcoming that I couldn't be happier. Everything's awesome. So much fun. Everything is fun, which
It
is great.
seems
What
like
can I say?
everything is
You know,
fun.
the smiles are real, and can't get enough of it. You know, I don't know how many shows we've played up to this point, but it's still super fresh, very exciting, and it's just it's a great place to be in, a great group of people.
So did you already know Dave?
We had met a few times
Yeah.
over the years, but it's not like we were buddy,
Yeah.
you know, texting all the time.
He had seen
But
you play with Nails probably? or-
yeah, probably a couple of times over the years.
Yeah.
Probably going back to like, I don't know if I had to say maybe 2017 or so.
Right.
But there would be years in between of seeing one another again. I haven't really talked about this whole sort of chapter, so this is a new thing. Not that I have anything to hide here, but it was just kind of like, hey, probably didn't expect to hear from me, but there's some stuff going on, and I see that your last date is whenever it was. Time is a giant blur,
Sure.
regardless of bands and touring.
Right.
Add 2 kids, and I don't know what day it is today, you know. But that's how it started.
So he had done his research and
He had
saw
done
it,
his
like,
research.
Okay, you
Yes.
might, Elon
Yes.
might be available.
Yeah.
And then was it like a, you want to come jam situation, or was it like a, hey, we would love for you to do this, or is it like, come vibe with, like, what's the?
Eventually, we played together, and for those who are somewhat familiar with this story or with the band or this chapter with the band, at some point there were some auditions.
Mhm.
And very understandable, considering that, I mean, it's such a massive band, but things didn't work out perhaps the way everyone had hoped over the last couple of years. So they really wanted to make sure that whoever kind of came in was, I don't know, vetted
Sure.
as best as possible.
Yeah.
Make sure you check everything else out before you make your choice. These are assumptions here. But
Right.
yeah, so I played a second time, and then I was invited. So what can I say? You know?
Awesome.
Yeah, but it was a great time. I mean, sitting down, playing songs, like I said, very inviting group of people,
Yeah.
and the songs are obviously incredibly fun to play.
Gotta be
And-
so fun.
And I'm a very sort of, I like to be prepared,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a perfectionist in that degree, or in that way. And when I got the batch of songs that they wanted to play, I really did my research because obviously band's been around for so long. A lot of these songs have gone through different iterations over the years.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's toured a lot with various bands, I know that things can change from tour to tour.
Yeah.
So I really did my research as to what they had been doing for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And just showed up as if it was ready to be night one of a tour. And we just played smoothly, and that was that.
So fun, man. And that wasn't like, I mean, I guess it wasn't audition, but there weren't like auditions at that point. That was just like,
yeah. I mean, look, I honestly don't know
right,
how in depth all of that
their side
that
of
stuff
just- yeah,
was.
yeah,
It was just like, do you want to come by and play? Sure,
yeah.
did, and it was a great time.
Oh man, that must have been so fun to play those songs.
Absolutely.
Oh man,
And it was very eye-opening that I had the realization that it was the first time in almost 20 years that I'd played with a band not to a click or to tracks. I was like,
Wow.
oh, I can hear all the instruments better because I don't have this thing pounding in my ear.
yeah,
I have a notch in my hearing from metronomes, and I'm not joking.
I believe it.
When I've gotten the the molds done and they do the ear
Yeah.
tests, they're like, ooh, right there. I'm like, yep, that's the metronome.
that's the metronome.
So now that I don't have that, I can just kind of hear everything that's going on and kind of be immersed in the whole thing rather than playing along to or needing to keep everything out of the way of the click because
Yeah.
I don't want to lose that, So it's, in a way, it felt like getting back to how it started. Which
Yeah,
is
for
just
sure.
playing, all counted in, let's go. And if things change, they change. We'll find a way back.
Yeah. So Foo Fighters is a no-click band.
No click, no tracks,
So
nothing like
fun,
that. Yeah.
man. So fun.
With 3 guitars, bass, drums, and keyboards, you can cover a lot of ground.
There's enough.
Yeah.
There's a wall of sound
Yeah.
already. Are you, and you're just gut jumping into the songs. There's no like light tempo meter for you to sing?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You're just vibing it.
And I think that's really the best way because depending on how you structure a set list, the same song, depending on what it follows or what it precedes, will have a different push and pull, So there are times where you can play to a click, and I'm sure you've been in this situation, not along if you agree, but you've got the adrenaline going and you want to push, but you feel like the click is in a way holding you back, which is fine. That's the tempo that the song was written to be performed at. But there's something about live energy where it's natural to want to push. And if you play a song following a faster song, you kind of need to push that one too, because you don't want it to feel like a lull unless that's the intent,
Of course.
So being able to see what the chunk of songs is that you're going to be playing back to back to back, that kind of enables you to tweak the tempo in ways that make it all feel like a seamless transition from one song to the next. And those are things I haven't had to think about because I've been counted into songs for 20 years, whether it was Nine Inch Nails, Angels and Airwaves, obviously a lot of track heavy stuff, which needs to be on a click.
yeah.
At some point, I've played with people who play to a click, but no tracks, which is also different because that's just there to make sure that the tempo is the same every night, even though those tempos could be faster than, say, what was recorded on album. But there you still have freedom because you're not a slave to a structure. You're just there to be kind of kept in line.
Yes.
All great ways to do it, but I had the realization I had not done it this way in a very long time.
There's not a lot of opportunities
Yeah.
to do it this way. You're in the world's biggest garage band. It's like the world's best. Like that's like it's one of the best gigs on the planet, man. One of the most fun group of guys. I know some of the guys and being around. I met Dave a few times, and it's just like the best energy, the best vibes. Everyone's like, it seems it's like such a tight knit family moving, like a family just moves around the world together.
That is absolutely right. And I've just felt nothing but welcome and comfortable within this new world to me.
Yeah.
And it means a lot. It's great.
Yeah. Man.
What can I say? I don't want to sound vague and say, it's awesome, but it is. So what can I do? The shows are fun. The shows are long. The places we play so far have been great. And, funny enough, I'd say most of the shows that I've played so far with the band have been very small, secretive underplays,
Yeah.
which is great. you know, because I haven't really done those in a while, unless it was me, like we were saying earlier,
Solo project.
fronting my own band and opening for somebody. And we all know how it is being an opening act. People are like, okay, when's the headliner up here? But it's been a lot of fun going through smaller venues. And then the next day, this giant thing. And then the next show, it's a smaller venue. And it kind of just keeps going back and forth. And you can feel the excitement in these rooms, because these are shows that are, you know, that go on sale day of or the night before. So everyone who's there is thrilled to be there.
Real fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never wait outside for a ticket for anybody. So
No way.
way to go to all these people.
But we're jaded. We've done this for a long time.
You know, I may be 37, but I feel 107. But yeah, it's fantastic. And the various places that we've played so far have been very diverse. I haven't been to Tasmania till this year, but that was awesome.
You guys did Tasmania already?
And it was a one-off too.
One-off?
Went in, did it, and came back. It was the quickest trip to Australia I had ever been on.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But tons of fun.
Well, man, you know, I'm a Foo Fighters fan and I'm an Ilan fan. So I'm just so happy. When I saw this, I was like, that is the fit, man. Like that right there. Before I even saw you play with them, just in hearing the news, was just like, oh, that's the move. Wow.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it seems like, as a Foo fan, you brought the energy back, man, to the Foo Fighters. Like, in a way, obviously, like, huge shoes to fill, all the shoes to fill, right? Whether it's Dave or Taylor or Josh, right? It's like big shoes to fill. And like, but that's what's so great. Let's talk about how great Ilan Rubin is in front of Ilan for a second.
Now I know why I'm here.
Here's what I want to tell you. No.
Well, thank you.
Because you're uniquely you, man. But at the same time, you complement the Foo Fighters, right? Because even just the way that you play, your open-handed style and everything that makes you unique to you, but you also have the power and the energy that the Foo Fighters need, you know?
Well, thank you.
The bright energy that radiates off you that clearly Dave is responding to as well. Like I'm watching him always. It seems like you guys are, you know, feeding off each other, and that's so great, because to have those high energy, it was always like Taylor and Dave were, you know, arguably the focal points of Foo Fighters when you go see them live, because they're the most high energy. When everyone else has their swag, everyone's got their own swag. Yeah. Everyone kills it in Foo Fighters, right? But obviously, Taylor and Dave are just the highest energy levels.
Well, thank you again. I naturally play with energy. Like, if I don't give it a certain amount of energy or give it all that I can, I feel like I haven't done my job. And of course, this is relevant to whatever the material is. I mean, it's high energy, a lot of up-tempo music.
Yeah.
And if you're not bringing it, the music will suffer. So it's a great fit in that regard. And aside from that, yeah, Dave is great at what he does and always wants to have fun on stage. And there are those moments that are kind of just built in where you get to jam, you get to lock in, just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And it's built into a lot of songs. So there are always these pockets of energy that are just ready to burst throughout a show. And it keeps everything, dare I say, energetic again, but
fresh and fun.
Yeah, fresh, fun, and also kind of keeps you on your toes.
Yeah,
like I said, without playing to a track or a click or anything, things can really stretch. And in fact, we were talking about it the other day. I was telling him it's funny going from a smaller show to a massive show, because this one break in the middle of a song, say it's Pretender or whatever, on a small stage, he's only got 10 feet in either direction to do what he does with the crowd. You move that into an arena or in a stadium, and that one extra 30 seconds of front manning turns into a 5-minute long thing.
As he's running from side to side.
Exactly. And you have to be locked in, because he'll just start singing the next section when he's ready to move on. And I haven't felt on edge like that in a long time, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, the only time I've been in that position in a while is when I've played guitar in the new regime, and I like jam sections, but I'm the one kind of leading them, and I'm the one nodding at people like, all right, we're going to come back into the final chorus, or we're going to end this outro, or whatever it is. But to be in the position of needing to follow along. It keeps things on edge in a way that's exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, but from a drummer's perspective, I think we very much come from a very similar place. Obviously, we both love Bonham, right?
Of
But
course.
I just feel like in learning the parts, and the first two albums were the material, which he played on. I feel like we think of things very similarly. I mean, each part has its distinct groove, a lot of fills that are very hooky. And when it comes time to learning things, I just feel like I'm able to snap into what his perspective is as a drummer. And I view things that way when I'm writing stuff as well. So it's a very natural fit. He obviously plays with a ton of energy. And I mean, he's got a lot more of the punk rock and the hardcore stuff that I'm only aware of from the, it's in my periphery, but I haven't taken the dive. I've been around a lot of people who have. So I'm, I suppose, more well-versed than I should be, even though he comes from that world and I don't necessarily. There's so much common ground that I feel we play very similarly.
Referring to those first two albums, which are two of my favorite Foo Fighter albums, of course, and I know Dave's on all those tracks. Wait, you're saying that that was the first material you guys went through? Was off the first two albums?
No, not necessarily, but there were a good amount of songs, obviously.
Yeah.
You always got to play My Hero and Everlong.
Of course.
And, the big, massive hits.
The smashes.
Yeah. But I was
playing
obviously...
like This Is a Call and all that
Exactly,
stuff.
exactly.
That's the best.
And when you learn them and try to stick to what the intent was on the album, you just kind of see the parts that are repeated, the parts that are slightly changed. And I just feel like I understand where he comes from as a drummer in that regard.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, and this is a great quality that a lot of people have, they don't really stick to, this is the part that I'm playing every verse, this is the part I'm playing every chorus. I mean, Stuart Copeland's one of my favorites, surprise, surprise, but that was not his MO.
It was not.
And it's one of the things
that was a take.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I love about him. I don't look at it that way at all. I look at grooves and beats and sections of songs the way you would a chord progression. This is what makes this part of the song drive a certain way.
Yes.
And then this next part, this is what's different. And again, not to sound redundant, I just feel like it all makes sense in a very sort of nuclear level, And as far as the material, I was also very aware that there are three different drummers as far as the last 20, almost 30 years, and I would go to the albums first just to see what is the original drum part, because things change, whether it was Dave's playing or Taylor's playing. But then I would say, okay, well, when Taylor joined to, when he was no longer with us, how did he change these songs? Because things just change naturally, whether you notice it or not. You play the same song for 20 some years, things are going to change.
Yeah.
And I would see, okay, what are the differences here? And then of course with Josh, and coming back to what I said earlier, I wanted to be really in tune with what the band had been used to playing for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to play All My Life, for example, you get to the middle if you were expecting to play what's on the album, you'd never get there, because there's this whole new jam section that they were doing for 2 years, and you have to assume this is what's in their head because this is what they did 100 times leading up to this, So I would then see, okay, well, how did Josh do it differently to what Taylor did, to what Dave did on certain songs? Obviously, once Taylor started playing everything on the album, one of those variables is out.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's just from coming in to bands, not as an original member. I've had to do probably more research than I would have liked to over the years.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, it's just in my nature to look at it from these different perspectives.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of homework, but fun homework.
And that also makes it even more of a no-brainer for the guys. When you come and you just know, and you've already thought all this out, you've like assumed what will go through their head and how do you make them the most comfortable.
Well, yeah. And look, you would agree, I'm sure, considering how many people you've played with, the first thing that people want to do when they have a new musician in, especially a drummer, because everything is built off of that, is they just want to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and I never want to be in a situation where I'm playing something and then people start looking at each other like, what's happening? You know, avoid that at all costs, regardless of the instrument.
So with Dave Grohl being a drummer, you being the new drummer, are there moments ever when he is like coaching you on drum parts? Is he like going to the kit being like, I do it like this? Or are you just, you've already studied it all and you know what he wants and you're just like, I got it.
Probably the latter.
Yeah.
And funny enough, the first time we played, he did make a comment like, I haven't heard the parts played like that in a long time. Meaning I went back to the album and
you went back to Grohl.
Did the homework, you know.
He probably loves it. That's great. He seems happy. They all seem happy. The guys and you seem happy. Everyone seems happy. It's a great win.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I mean, obviously with how well he plays, he really could sit there and say, no, play it exactly like this, play it exactly like that. And although I've done my homework, he can always sit down and say, try it like this. But I think he likes what everyone brings, and that's what makes the band the band. I mean, each one of those guys have a very distinct way of playing, especially Nate.
Yeah.
So honing in on how he plays bass, which is extremely melodic.
Yes.
It's fun listening and playing off of that.
Yes.
You know, in particular, especially since his bass amp's right next to me.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
That's got to be fun to lock with Nate.
But he's super unique at the way he plays.
Yeah.
You know, shiflet, pat, very unique. You know,
Yes.
it's a lot of fun. And you just see the way all these guys approach their instruments.
Yeah.
And you realize that there is a lot going on there. And then Rami with the keys, man.
Yeah.
But
filling it out.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your favorite song to play so far?
Oh, my favorite song.
What's one you love to play? When it comes in the set, you're like, I mean, I'm sure the set is just full of those songs.
It is rammed. Yeah. And I'd say almost at a minimum play about 2.5 hours. I haven't been part of one of these like legendary mammoth 4-hour sets yet. But, 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minutes is a lot of songs, you know, but I mean, all my life is a lot of fun. Times like these are a lot of fun. They're all a lot of fun. What can I say? And No Son of Mine's a lot of fun. They're all fun.
What's it feel like to play Everlong?
Good. Feels really good.
Because the crowd must be so happy too. The second you go into it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second Dave starts, obviously, the place erupts.
Yeah.
But it's a ton of fun. And that's one of those songs where, from my perspective, especially with the 16ths, you want it to be so cutting, but still have a little bit of a groove. You don't want to sound too mechanical.
Yes.
And then those drum parts in the choruses, those fills are very specific.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something in particular that I wanted to make sure I had as he had recorded it.
Got to nail those. Yeah, because with him being a songwriter, those fills they're
there for a reason.
Melodic fills.
Yes, they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone in the audience wants to hear it. All the drummers know everyone's air drumming in the audience.
Yeah.
What about, I mean, I would love to play Monkey Wrench with those guys.
That's a ton of fun too. I mean, there isn't a song where I'm like, oh, this one again. You know, but the jam element also keeps a song very fresh night to night.
Yeah.
You know, so when we do Best of You, for example, that jam, it's obviously got its cues of like, okay, we're going to go to the next part of the jam. But the way things extend and build dynamically change from night to night. Mm-hmm. And cluing into that is just a lot of fun. What can I say? It's all positive. It's all joyous. It's all good stuff.
We can feel the happiness.
Yeah.
Since you're not playing a click, have you yet started Everlong too fast?
Well, no, Dave starts it.
So right.
And that's the great thing that, him having great time whenever he starts a song, it's on. You can trust it, obviously. Yeah. So like White Limo, for example, it's always driving right where it needs to drive. Everlong's one of those songs. Times like these, there are a lot of songs that start with guitar that are him. And it's just like, I don't even need to think about it.
Right.
The pocket has been set. I just got to get into it.
Have you had a pinch me moment?
I mean, I suppose the whole thing's been a bit of a pinch me moment, especially since it was just, I can't stress enough how out of left field it was. Very out of nowhere. And it's one of those things where like, where did this come from? is it going to go down this way? And then once it does, you're like, oh, that actually all worked out.
Meant to be, some might say.
Some might say. I'm not used to just being this sort of positive and gushy.
I know you're so happy right now. It's really beautiful to see. I've known you a long time. And
was I miserable
you're
before?
You're not always that happy. Not that you're miserable.
Look, I still hate a lot of things.
I'm sure.
Fine.
Yeah. I'm sure. We'll turn the cameras off and get into some things we can complain about off to the side. Okay, so what is the real story of what happened with this drum swap with you and Josh Freese?
There is no story.
Coincidence?
Honestly, I think it's just a very logical thing.
Yeah. For anyone that doesn't know, Ilan was in Nine Inch Nails, joined Foo Fighters. Before Ilan was in Nine Inch Nails, Josh Freese was in Nine Inch Nails. Josh Freese was also in Foo Fighters. It was announced that Ilan was the drummer of Foo Fighters and leaving Nails, and then right after that, it was announced that Josh is back in Nails. So made a lot of sense. It was like, oh, that's perfect. Is that just synchronicity? Is that just like, oh, it worked out and makes sense? Or I didn't know if there was
there was nothing behind it, and it's very logical in the sense that, as you said, Josh played with Nails from, I want to say, 05 to the end of 08. I auditioned in 08, took over the next shows early, I think it was February of 09, and was with the band up until last summer. The last tour I did was a European tour of the Peel It Back cycle. And as I said earlier, when I was gotten in touch with, Dave and management, everyone was very well aware that I had a commitment up to this point, and was I doing anything afterwards?
Yeah.
And at the time, there was nothing I knew about. The tour that Nine Inch Nails had just triumphantly wrapped up was not on the books. So as far as I knew, I mean, my contract ended on a date.
Yeah.
After that is, what am I doing next? And when this happened and the opportunity presented itself, and it was just an obvious great fit and a great thing for me, I guess I need to take a step back. Is that at some point in time, for whatever reason, Josh was no longer with Foo Fighters. And that was the first thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like Josh was no longer with the band and they had already been talking. None of that was a thing. They dealt with whatever they dealt with. They needed a drummer. And whenever it was getting a little too close for comfort in terms of shows that were coming up in a few months, I was gotten in touch with. As a result of me taking that opportunity, obviously, Nine Inch Nails needed a drummer.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that at this point in time, Trent doesn't want to spend however many weeks at a rehearsal studio playing the same songs over and over and over again to break in a new drummer. And aside from that, Josh has already done it before, so.
And he's great at it.
So it was very logical on that. I mean, why else would you go find somebody else? And going back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of wanting to feel comfortable, Trent wouldn't have to think about anything because he knows that Josh can do it and has done it.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything particularly surprising there.
Yeah.
But when the news leaked, because it did leak, it was kind of billed as this drummer swap. Now that would imply that Trent and Dave were like, hey, what would be a great idea?
Trade?
Why not? Which is the dumbest thing. But the dots were obviously connected where there was a switch, but it was certainly not a swap. And, I left my tenure with Nine Inch Nails to join Foo Fighters. Nine Inch Nails needed a drummer. And the drummer they got was the guy who was no longer with Foo Fighters. That's literally what it was. But, the only thing that kind of really bothered me at the time when that news leaked was that it kind of gave the impression that I just kind of said, oh, this came up, I'm out of here, have fun, guys, which was not the case at all.
Right.
Everyone knew what my commitments were, and I'm a very, very loyal guy, and I do what I say I'm going to do. So it just happened to work out better that even though I was available for that tour, it worked out better for Nails to just have Josh, who was then going to go do the stuff in 2026.
Yeah.
And it worked out great for me that rather than having to, and get this, had everything gone the way it was originally supposed to, I would have finished that American leg of the Nine Inch Nails tour, would have had a week to rehearse with Foo Fighters and then play a festival in Jakarta. That's what it would have been. That's what everyone had agreed to. And that's what it was. I was going to go play with Nails, have my last tour, and then jump in and really put in the work to go learn all the songs that they wanted to do. And that was that. But because it worked out this way, I had so much more time on my hands.
Because of the leak?
Well, no, just because Trent had made the decision, well, we might as well have Josh just play now because he's going to be playing the next leg of the tour.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
let's just rip off the Band-Aid, my words, not his,
Yeah.
and just do it now rather than doing it later. But that allowed me to, rather than have a week with the band, to have a couple of months to leisurely learn 40 songs or whatever it was, hang out with the guys, get to know everybody really well.
Yeah.
And it gave us the opportunity to play these smaller kind of pop-up secret shows. So my first show was in San Luis Obispo. I think it was the Fremont, and then we played at the
Just like the old days.
Yeah, and then speaking of the old days, the observatory in Santa Ana.
That's crazy, dude.
So in
that
hindsight,
must have been a mind.
it was, because I've played there a ton of times.
Yeah.
Over the year, what was it before? Was it the like Galaxy Theater or something?
Oh
like
my
that?
God!
I mean, that was the same venue, right?
Yeah, is it the same theater? Maybe it is.
I could be wrong.
See, because you were San Diego, I was LA.
Yeah,
Right? So even though we met in the middle, bunch.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Everything honestly worked out the best way that it possibly could. And, you know, having the time and the opportunity to get to know people before you go do something like that was great.
Absolutely, man. It seems like everything worked out perfectly.
Everything really did work
Actually.
out well.
It's great to see you in the Foods. It's great to see Josh with Nails. It's like awesome. Everything's awesome. Have you spoken with Josh?
He did text me the day of the leak, and we had a good little back and forth. Yeah, I know it's a little weird, but he and I have known each other for a very long time in varying degrees of friendship, because just because you meet somebody doesn't mean you're friends. But I first met him when I was probably 16 years old, and then we had crossed paths in a studio playing on the same project at some point. So I saw him once at 16, and then I saw him once at 17, and then a couple years later, he's leaving Nine Inch Nails, and I'm coming in at that point, I was 20. And so over the years, we've just seen more and more and more of each other.
So does he text you like, here we go again? Our story continues.
Well, it's really funny because, I guess that's never the way people intend this thing. Like, hey, whatever Josh does, I'm going to come in right after. But it just has happened to be that way.
Right.
And funny enough, before this, it was with Danny Elfman.
I was going to say,
And
was it Elfman on the...
And it was funny. I felt weird about it.
You're like,
I texted him, and this is before the news was out that he was joining Foo Fighters, which wasn't the biggest shock on the planet.
Right.
But it was like, hey, I hope it's not weird, but obviously you're not playing with Danny, and I've been approached to play with Danny. Hope you don't find that weird, And he's like, no problem. And of course he's announced his Foo Fighters. But then when this whole thing went around, I was like, I'm just not even going to say anything, because I'm just going to, keep my head down and move forward. And
I never thought about
it.
all the projects going from Josh to you, Josh to you, Josh to you.
Oh, it's been like 4 or 5 over the years. Even ones that, even when I played on like Paramore's a self-titled album.
Yeah.
I think he had just done a South American tour with them. And I came in to play on the album and then did a little stuff with them. He was, I don't know if a lot of people know this, perhaps I'm letting a secret out. Oh, well. But he was like the first guy that Tom had in mind for Angels Airwaves.
No way.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Adam was the first guy for the first couple
Adam
of albums.
Yeah.
And that was another thing where I've come in after another drummer that people loved. And I'm just used to that kind of like, just keep my head down, play the way I play.
Yeah.
And things will things will work out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's your brand now. This is it. You're still in your 30s.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, your contract had already ended with Nails for that run you were going to do. So what you call Trent and just be like, hey,
Immediately.
yeah,
Because look, I told Trent, because I called him directly immediately, saying this opportunity's presented itself. I'm gonna do it. I don't know if you were intending on playing beyond this, because that's the thing. With all my years in Nine Inch Nails, you never know what the last tour is going to be, you know. And in my early 20s, no problem. Let me know when you want to play. As you kind of progress through life and you have a wife and kids and this and that, the uncertainty becomes more and more and more uncomfortable.
yeah,
And I mean, that's just life. It's a normal thing that everybody goes through, especially in something as inconsistent as music, right? So I think he was understanding to a point, but you know, I could have just not said anything, done the tour, and been like, oh, well, now I'm going to go do this. But I want to be very upfront, very honest, and honestly grateful. And I told him, I owe him more than I could ever repay him.
yeah,
And in hindsight, the fact that he gave a 20-year-old a chance to not just audition, but invite me into the band at that point in time. Nine Inch Nails has already been around for 20 years.
yeah,
And giving a young guy the opportunity, nothing but grateful, you know. So
Incredible.
I wanted to have it be as smooth a transition as possible, and to really show how appreciative I was or am for everything.
yeah.
You know, it's been like almost 17 years. Is a very long time.
You're the longest drummer for Nails.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that's something to be said in itself. I mean, had Nine Inch Nails been around before Spinal Tap, I would have assumed that's where they got that from. You know, but no, there have been a lot of people in and out. So having been a part of it for so long, it's something I'm proud of.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely, man.
It's never hard. I mean, it's never easy to go through changes, especially such a big one.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure that there was an understanding, and that, hey, it is what it is. But thank you for everything.
For sure. That's beautiful, man. Well, we're going to get to the Nails chapter.
Oh, here we go.
Interview. But let's go back to the beginning for now.
Here we go.
Born July 7th, 1988.
Ringo and I.
You got Ringo's birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Tracks.
You know.
Raised in San Diego, California, home of Ringo Starr. Not. Growing up around your older brothers and everything. You started drumming at 8?
Yeah, around there. Either just shy of 8 or 8. Yes.
And you're gigging at 9?
Yes.
Yeah. So did drums just make sense to you?
They did, but they made sense to me, A, because they were around. Mm-hmm. It's not like I had this realization one day, which a lot of people do have, where it's like, Mom and Dad, I want to play this instrument. The drums were there.
Your dad played?
He did play. So his drums were up in the garage. I had 2 older brothers who are 5 and 8 years older than me. So they had already been teenagers, bitten by the music bug, and it was around. That's the only reason that I tried it. Thought it was interesting. You know, had I not had older brothers, say I was an only child and I just found my way into my teenage years, would I have been that kid who said, hey, I want to play the drums? I have no idea. You know, but I'm glad it turned out that way. And as I picked up the drums, I became obsessed with it. My brothers sort of, I mean, they can both play drums. My dad also can play a bit of everything, and my brothers as well, but they had gravitated towards bass and guitar. So if we fast forward a little bit, the same thing happened. There was a guitar there. I wanted to play it. I got good at it. And the obsessive nature of the whole thing happened. Same thing with bass, same thing with piano. Although the piano was something that was an epiphany for me. That was a realization. It was like, I want to play that instrument. That seems like the instrument of all instruments. Every note, 2 hands, playing up to 4 parts. You can sing on that. That's the one. I want to learn how to do that. But I digress.
So, do you remember when we first met?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't, but I know the story. I know the show that we first met. I really do, because we've talked about this, the Glass House.
The Glass House.
And it's strange, and I understand that when people talk to me about this, maybe this will make you deviate course a little bit with the trajectory of your question. But like, yes, I got started very young, as did you.
Yes.
But because I started so young, it doesn't even feel like a lifetime ago. It feels like 2 lifetimes ago.
Same.
You know?
Yeah.
And most people don't really talk about what they were up to when they were 10.
Sure.
Or 12 or 14 or whatever. It's like life kind of starts getting interesting generally in your mid to late teens. But by that point, I'd already been playing for a really long time.
Absolutely.
So, all right, hit me with what you're going to hit me with.
Okay, so this is fun trivia, fun fact. I actually have a couple questions for you that I wonder if you know, because I forgot.
Okay.
It's the same when you're talking about, I don't know, I was 10, I'm 11, right? So Ilan and I met at the Glass House in Pomona. We were both playing. You were opening and I was support. I was in a band called Limit Point. I was 15 years old.
15, yeah.
I was always the youngest person until Ilan walks in. You were probably 11. I'm 84. You're 88. Yeah. Yeah. So you're 11. You're playing with FON. It's so fun to think about these things because this like brings us back to our core. I feel like like. Do you remember, like, I mean, back in the day, in those early days of playing shows, when you're playing places like the Glass House and stuff, you know, you set up your kit backstage, you're looking at all the other drummers' kits, everyone's talking to each other. I feel like there's such camaraderie that happens in that phase of life when you're playing the smaller venues compared to when you're in the arenas and everyone has their own separate.
And I was probably particularly bad at the camaraderie as an 11-year-old.
You were not great, but your brother was great. Aaron was great. You were not great. We weren't like friends, but like that was my first time seeing you play. You did a drum solo at that show. I remember you doing a drum solo.
I'll tell you what, this is tickling something in my brain here, but it could have been this show. It could have been another one, but I do know specifically that I did a drum solo at a Glass House show. I used to do them all the time. Whoever thought that was a good idea, I don't know. But it was filmed, and my dad sent that in to the Modern Drummer, Undiscovered Drummer contest thing. And it could have been a solo from that show that you're talking about that was submitted, and I won that in 2001, I think. The best undiscovered drummer under 18.
When you're what, like 15?
No, it was 11 or 12.
Oh, it was that was
that. It could have been that very show that you're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was playing my dad's drums, the vintage Ludwigs
that
I still have to this day, but that's what I learned on.
That's amazing.
But it's also funny because it's like that was my brother's high school band. I just happened to be the little brother at home who could play drums. Yeah. So it's like, come do this.
Yeah, you got to play Family Duty.
And as a result, it's like I was put into a situation, which I'm grateful for, of playing shows very early. It's very second nature to me. In fact, the worst part of my day on tour is the hour leading up to the show. I hate it. I hate the waiting of, I've got an hour, 30 minutes. It's like, let's just play already.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do. Let's just go do it. And the second I get on stage and start playing drums, that's when I feel comfortable.
Yes.
And it probably goes to having played shows before I was even aware of that, you know, whether it's stage fright or performance anxiety. It's just like, oh, this is what you do.
The word anxiety.
Yeah, you go and you play the stuff you were playing in the garage. Now you play there in front of people. Hopefully they like it, and that's that. But it was so early on in my life that it's probably just embedded itself in my DNA. Yeah. But it's all such a blur. So even like mentioning the band name, I'm like, oh my God, that was like millennia ago. It feels like.
I mean, I relate to you with this because, and I always love talking to Mikey and Shaw, the guys that were in that band, Limit Point, which was like my first gigging band. And I loved being in that band. It changed my life.
You guys all get together. You're like, God, that was terrible.
No, we get together and we were like, that was our peak. But similar to you, so I'm an older sibling. I have a younger brother. But when I joined that band, they were in their 20s and I was 15. So they became my big brothers, right? So they remember everything. I don't remember hardly anything from then. So I can only imagine you being 11 because I was 15. I don't remember.
And not only that, when people mention it, Elmo, I'm like, I don't remember anything. No, but it really
You said
true.
you remembered that show. I have a question for you. I have a question.
I do. And I remember, I mean, I've probably only played the Glass House 2 or 3 times in life.
Yeah.
But I remember it. I do remember that well.
So here's a funny thing. I remember that you opened, and that was my first time seeing you play, and I remember FON and meeting your bro and everything. Do you remember who headlined?
Unwritten Law.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was Unwritten Law, and they were huge at that time.
Mm. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. So the other thing I remember 2 things from that show, which was my first time meeting you.
Mm.
And then I remember I was backstage and all of a sudden Travis Barker walked in backstage.
That's why I remember that it was Unwritten Law who was headlining the show. Because I had, I'm probably cutting you off, forgive me. But
Just do it.
As around 11, I'll make this a very quick story because who really cares? But at some point, playing shows, a guy who at the time worked with Blink spotted my parents at a show. They were sticking out like a sore thumb, I'm sure. And then you see this guy who could barely look over the tom, and they're like, you must be his parents. So this guy approached him and said, is that your kid? And long story short, introduced himself, works with Blink. Travis Barker gives drum lessons. Would he be interested? And at the time, Travis was very new in the regard that he was playing a very untrained music from a very trained perspective. You know, he's a guy who actually had his drum corps experience and
did drumline.
Is an actual drum nerd, but playing very, pop punk, whatever you want to call it. So that was the sort of beginning of his skyrocketing popularity.
Yeah, it had already happened though. He was on the rocket.
On the rocket.
Like he was in Blink, and he had changed the sound of Blink to,
but in comparison to current day sort of like
of course,
tabloid fame, I mean, it's a whole different.
Well, he must have been, I mean, if you and I were 15 and 11, he must have been 20 something.
He was mid-20s.
Yeah,
I mean, at that point, he was giving lessons for $40 an hour.
Yep. I remember this because when I was like, why is Travis Barker here? And someone was like, oh, that young drummer, that's his drum teacher.
Yeah, so we took this guy up on his offer, and I went and took lessons from him for a while, on and off for a couple of years. More off than on, because obviously Blink was touring a ton, and this was just something he kind of did on the side when he was home. So when I was playing a show not too far from where he was at the time, he came down to the show. And because of that, I do remember it very specifically with Unwritten Law being the headliner. He also knew those guys, obviously. And,
of course, from the Aquabats days and everything.
Yeah.
When Travis was there because of you, I was like, no way, he gives drum lessons? What the hell? Because he's already super famous, but not where he is today. And
it was a good time. I mean, he obviously shortly thereafter stopped giving drum lessons because why bother? But
even at that point, the fact that he was doing it, and it was funny because I walked up to him and I was like, can I get drum lessons? And he was like, yeah, sure. Gave me a number. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I was a huge Travis fan. And I was like, is this his number or whatever? And I didn't know back then we had home phones, right? Yeah. This is before cell phones, right before cell phones. I went home and I called the number and they answered, Famous Stars and Straps.
You're completely correct.
And I was like, oh, this is Famous Stars and Straps.
You're completely correct. But yeah, it was a good time. And the entire lessons were based on reading. Half the lesson at the pad reading, half the lesson at drums reading, all reading. So I got to say, I've used it probably about 6 times in my life. You know, the old notation. Funny enough, only on like film score stuff where they're like, "This is what you're playing."
Yeah.
But no, that was an invaluable thing to learn, and it wasn't that he taught me how to read, because my very first drum teacher, I was self-taught for a couple of years. My dad got me started and would teach me what he could. And then I kind of, took off by myself for a while. And then I got drum lessons from a guy named David Oskinen, super good guy, still in touch with him, but he taught me how to read. And then he moved from San Diego. So there was a big lapse there in terms of being a bookworm and going through Funky Primer and Jim Chapin and all that stuff. But yeah, when I took lessons from Travis, it was all by the book, which was good. Especially at that point in life, it obviously stuck with me.
Right.
And from there, I was able to teach myself to read music for piano and all good stuff. But again, Lifetimes ago.
Lifetimes ago. So another thing that I have brief memories of. So I did Warped Tour back then. I was the youngest guy till Ilan.
You've had it
I
out for me
loved
ever
being
since.
the baby, bro. You took it from me.
How weird is it when you get to the point where you start not becoming the youngest person?
Dude, it only happened like 5 years ago. I
Yeah,
feel
I'm
like you still
oh.
are. You still are.
Well, look, in bands that I've played in, yes, but for example, I had to kind of pass the baton on when a very good friend of mine, Rob Ketchum, when he started playing for the New Regime.
Yeah,
this guy's younger than me. This is weird.
In your band,
this is weird. I'm not even the young. Yeah, but
you're like, oh, so this is when it's my band. I just get the younger people.
Yeah,
that's what they were. doing.
That's how you do
That's
it.
the
Yeah.
trick, man.
Yeah, but time passes and it's like,
And here you are, the youngest person in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
How about this room? Am I the youngest person in this room?
Nope. Yep, you are. Damn it.
I was waiting for you to hit one of those other buttons. But go on.
You're just bumming me out again, bro. You're triggering me.
I'm sorry.
From when I'm 15 and I was the baby until you came along.
I'm sorry. It was not my intent.
You had to ask, are you the youngest in the room?
It was not my intent. I'm sorry.
So yeah, we did Warped Tour, but I don't remember. We weren't together on Warped Tour. I don't remember that ever. But wait, this is like a little fun fact. I just want to know this. I heard this. Is it true? You subbed or you sat in with NOFX on Warped Tour?
I did.
One show, two. What was that?
2 songs. So at that point, oh God, you're really pulling this out. Jesus. Yes, that would have probably been 2001, maybe right around the same time.
I was on Warped that year. Yeah.
So,
what songs?
Sticking in My Eye and
God,
and Bottles to the Ground.
Oh my God, dude! Is there like VHS of that or something? Does your dad have it?
He might. I get really weird saying old stuff of myself.
We're only sticking to old.
No, no.
We already did the Foos, bro. Everything's old now.
We go current and then just all the stuff. No, but
I'm gonna dig it.
No, but honestly, he probably does. But it's a strange thing to me. I have no desire to watch. I know it went well. In fact, what I do remember, actually, okay, I got a couple of stories here. So going back to why this even happened to begin with, I got to know Eric Sannon, or Smelly.
Yep. Drummer for NOFX.
Yeah, as a young kid, because I was a young kid on Warped Tour and whatever. Super nice guy. And he had to leave for one day. He had to miss one show. And I believe he had to go to a funeral or something, which is why he had to go. So he went to all the drummers he knew, or enough drummers to fill a set, and just said, each guy learned 2 songs, and then that'll be the thing for that show. So those were the 2 songs that he told me to learn them, and then I played them. And it went really well. It was a lot of fun. But I recall, it's weird when you get to somebody else's drums.
For sure.
He at the time I recall him sitting super low.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was sitting so high, I don't even know how I ever did it, to be honest. I felt like I was practically standing up.
The Travis Barker lessons.
You know what? I have no idea what it was. Maybe just wanting to feel more grown up, But either way, no, I honestly think I was sitting higher than that. It was bizarre. I don't know how I did it. And then as time went by, I just got lower and lower and lower and lower. But anyway, I remember a time playing one of those songs where I did one of those things where I caught a stick on something, it left my hand, but I caught it. So I didn't, it wasn't a full drop.
Yeah.
The most minuscule blip of, I didn't hit the hi-hat on that one beat. And Fat Mike heard it. And I just always remember being super impressed by that. It's like, I didn't even drop the stick, and you're doing that thing where you're stopping the hi-hat to hit the snare to pick up a stick. And I was really impressed with that. And then I know at some point in time, he was at a Nine Inch Nails show many, many years later, and my dad spotted him. And they got to talking and said, "Hey, do you remember Ilan, the kid who?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Well, that's him." And that was a strange thing. I saw Melvin at Eric Melvin at here's one for you. What is it? In Belly Up Tavern. I saw him. Angels did a show there, and he and Tom are friends, and I think he's somewhat in the area. So we kind of talked about that. But yeah, that was that was 25 years ago. Yeah.
We've done a lot for our young age.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
You're one of the only drummers that I can think of that plays open-handed,
Mhm.
right? So with hi-hats on the left, but his hands on the left, snare on the right. But then you have your ride
Yes.
on the right side.
In
It's
the right place.
in the correct place. You keep the kit as it should be,
Yes.
but you just change it to you. Like, how old were you when you started doing that? Was that just how you were comfortable? Like, how did you end up in this with this setup?
Okay, so there are a few reasons to everything. When I first started playing, my dad taught me as he knew how to play leading right-handed. One day, long story short, left me to practice something. Come back and get me when you've got this thing. So in that moment when I was left alone to play drums, I just made the realization that my left hand is closer to the hi-hat. So why bother with this whole crossing over my left hand thing? And that was that.
Oh, it wasn't because you were like a left-handed.
No, I mean, and I certainly didn't realize it at the time. The only thing I do left-handed is right.
It's a big thing.
It is, but I throw right-handed, I kick
Interesting.
right-handed. Everything I do is right-handed with the exception of writing. Might be why my penmanship is such garbage, as you can see over there.
Looks horrible.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's god-awful.
I'm going to ask you to do something
When you
else.
said, can you draw something? I'm like, oh my God, already off on a bad
I was
foot.
like, I keep it.
The
Everyone's
wrong
like,
foot.
he plays every instrument. I'm like, he'll be able to draw.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. And then I get smudgy because of the left hand. It's a disaster.
Yeah, it's the worst thing anyone's ever drawn on my
Yeah,
wall.
yeah.
Let's continue.
Frame it. But that's how that started. But my dad's kit was 2 toms up top and 2 floor toms. So he had his ride off to the right, above the floor tom. And because I had that experience of leading right-handed for a bit, a lot of things were comfortable. And to this day, certain fills I start leading right-handed. It's very, whatever it is that I want to play, I'll naturally just go with what feels right.
Yeah.
But early on, back when you and I were rivals, I'm not kidding, but way back when, I did have a ride up to my left that was tilted and it was above my hi-hat, and it made sense because that was my main leading hand. But probably as I became a harder hitter, and I didn't want this tilted cymbal to my left, and because I could play comfortably with my right hand, I just thought I should also backtrack and say that I did play 2 toms up top for a while as well, because that's how I learned. But once I got rid of that tom, the second tom, and I thought, well, let me try moving the ride here. It's so comfortable.
So comfortable.
It's so comfortable, and it looks better.
It does.
I was like, this is the way it's got to be.
Yeah.
So at that point, I pretty much just committed to when I'm playing the hi-hat, it's with my left hand. When I'm playing the ride, it's with my right hand.
And I think that's a life-changing decision, because I think if your ride was over here, you wouldn't be in Foo Fighters.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. You want to be like looking as cool, hitting hard.
If Mike Borden is listening to this, I have no problem with his ride where it is. But I did that for a while.
Carter Buford, we love your playing.
There you go. That's another one. That's another one.
We do. We love your playing.
But I just made the decision. I made the commitment, and it feels good.
Yeah.
That's just it. When I move the ride over about a foot to the left, right in that spot between the 2 toms, I'm like, this is where it needs to be.
Life-changing.
Yeah, it's got to be there.
You look really cool when you play the drums, man.
You know what's funny?
You're a rock star,
Hey,
Ilan.
No.
You are.
First of all, thank you for enjoying the way I look when I play. But when I see open-handed drummers, I'm like, it's weird.
But you are the only one that I kind of enjoy it. I think everyone likes it.
And I'm not knocking. I had the. Did you know that Dennis Wilson played open-handed? Go watch some early Beach Boys stuff, and he's playing
Really?
open. Yeah, I had no idea.
You know what's funny? I
wonder if he's the original.
Whoa.
Who's the first one to do it wrong?
Interesting. Yeah.
Did you tell me that Dave WECKL did this interview?
This pod?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about this not too long ago, actually.
You should listen to it.
I will tonight.
Yeah.
Now that I know how good your voice sounds with headphones on,
play it for Sam and the kids, bro.
add some noise canceling.
Come on.
My God.
Next plane flight?
But
I'll calm your anxiety.
Wherever I'm going. But I was talking about this not too long ago when my dad was pleased with how it sounded, but perplexed by how it looked. He happened to take me to a Dave WECKL clinic. And when it came to the Q&A, he actually said, what do I do? He's hitting the hi-hat with his left hand. And Dave WECKL actually said, just if that's what's natural, just let him do it. And it was never, not that my dad was trying to like, that's not how you do it. But it was like, I haven't seen somebody do that, and
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's not a bad thing. And Mr. WECKL said, it's totally fine. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave Weckel. Dave Weckel is the king of figuring out what's comfortable for him and then just doing. He's got the slanted toms. Only way he has it.
You know what I was talking about the other day?
Down
Speaking of Dave
'cause of his-
WECKL?
What?
Remember the kickers? The Vic Firth kickers?
The kickers?
Yeah.
Was that the different beaters?
No, that was his custom drum shoe.
Oh, the Vic Firth kickers.
Do
They
you
looked like
remember
those like Puma, like driver shoes, right?
This must have been the peak of my like modern
Forgot
drummer.
about that.
Modern drummer reading, and that ad is burned into my brain.
I miss the modern drummer days when you would get it delivered
in
to
there,
you and
yeah.
you're just like, those were good
The
days.
days when you enjoyed going to a Guitar Center.
When you looked forward to it.
Yes. Now it's like, oh my God, I have to. Oh,
No,
I
I
gotta-
refuse. It's been a long
gotta
time.
do it. You know, it's a necessary place. I'm glad they're there, but listening to people try out instruments can be really painful.
It's bad.
That's why I try to avoid the NAMM show.
You know, I do a pretty good job. I went for like 3 hours one day.
How?
I did an obligation, showed up, had 2 meetings,
Told nobody you were there.
told nobody I was there,
That's how you did it.
but you still get stopped along the way. So you have to plan for like an hour of a walk from when you arrive to where your meeting is.
Yes.
That's a solid hour. It's going to be an hour and a half for you.
I always hope that I'm on tour when NAMM rolls around.
Oh, and I made the mistake of going with Luke Holland. We went together.
Talker?
Just we're getting stopped.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah. No, it's not
We love
that.
it,
It's
but-
just, you know, nobody really knows what it's like trying to have a conversation next to people trying out new cymbals until you're in that line of fire.
NAMM is way worse than Guitar Center in terms of, because what's crazy, I was there for a few hours, like not that long,
Headache.
and I lost my voice.
Yeah.
It's like a few hours one day.
Did you get anthrax?
I got an anthrax. No, I luckily didn't get sick, but
Yeah.
because I took a ginger shot before I walked in, and right when I got
Let me
out-
shake all the hands. I've got my ginger.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I brought an assistant with me that just kept like alcohol patting my hands every
Mm-hmm.
time. I was like, "Nice to meet you." And I'll just put it behind me. Man, there's so much to talk about here in this Elon.
I'm just yapping too much, aren't I?
No, let's keep it in the baby days. So, you know,
great.
it's another funny thing that I never realized until right now in this moment. But when I joined that band Limit Point, the whole reason I joined them was because I saw them play with a young band called River Phoenix.
Oh, geez.
Before
Yeah.
they were Phoenix TX.
That's right.
And then we played some dates with Phoenix TX.
Mhm.
And then you ended up being in Denver Harbor,
Yes. So,
which was probably my first time when I was like, oh, Ilan's doing like a bigger gig at the time. Or we were
Bigger,
kids. We were
bigger.
kids. We were kids
Yeah.
still. Because you were
bigger.
what, 16 in that?
I joined that band at 14.
14. Okay,
Yeah.
with the 2 guys from
That-
Phoenix TX and your bro.
That band was the reason why I had a midlife crisis at 16.
Why?
Because you're correct. It was a bigger band.
Yeah.
You know, I played a lot more shows that not a lot of people were going to in different cities. But,
But you had like a major label deal.
well, that was the thing. That lasted less than a year.
Classic.
So it's kind of like, oh, wow, maybe things will start moving forward now. And when they didn't, very abruptly, I was 16 and I was like, I've been playing for half my life already.
When is it going to happen?
I've already been dropped. You know, what more can I be doing here?
I've already been dropped.
What can I do here? And, you know, it's really funny how ridiculous I can be or people can be. But, you know,
You learned that not every project lasts.
very, very soon. Yeah.
I'll never forget. My dad told me when I was like 15 and I was in Limit Point when we met back in those days. And my dad told me back then when I was like, this is peak life. I'm going to be in this band for the rest of my life. This is only going to get better. And my dad was like, you're going to be in many bands.
What's your plan B?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was
No
the
plan
thing.
B.
And probably part of that, and I legitimately had a crisis at 16.
Wow.
I know it sounds funny, but I was,
Because when it didn't work out.
it's not like, oh, we got dropped. What am I going to do with my life? It was just, you know, it's a natural thing that happens where you join a new band. There's some momentum, even if minuscule. And then at some point that momentum tapers off and it's like, well, are we playing anymore? Are we not playing? What am I doing now? And also, I mean, at that time, so the best part of that point in my life was that's when I really started touring. So the stuff we've talked about, like Warped Tour or other things here and there, it was all very piecemeal. Like Warped Tour was, I think the most I ever did was close to 3 weeks, but I never did the whole thing. By the time I was 14 and in Denver Harbor, I was touring for weeks at a time and then months at a time. So it was because of that band and how supportive my parents are that I was checked into homeschooling because I was touring too much to physically go to high school. I think at the time I could go for 3 weeks at a time, go in, turn in my homework and get the next batch of stuff to do. But 3 weeks was the max. And when you're touring and someone's trying to push you out there to be as present as you can be, that wasn't something I could do. So my parents being great and supportive checked me into homeschooling, and I did a lot of schooling on the road. And that was my first experience being gone months and months and months at a time. And, back then it felt like a long time, based on you and I starting saying, oh, when we toured together, you and I, Elmo, it was 10 years ago. And then you look at 2 years that as a teenager feels like a long time. In hindsight, it's nothing. But so that was a big step up for me. But then that fizzled out, and it was one of those moments where it's like, it's not like I'm going back to school tomorrow. I finished school early because I was able to do it at my own pace. And I knew I wasn't going to go to college because I was trying to pursue my career in music. So it's just this weird kind of very brief standstill. Where I'm like, what do I do with my life? How do I make this work? What's the missing link to the next step? But it's absurd in hindsight.
It's hilarious. I kind of feel you because I ended up in homeschool, ended up finishing, and was just on tour. But it seemed, I don't even think I had I always had a crossover, one into the other. And I thought you always did too. I didn't know about this little, it always seemed like you always had the crossover, one gig into the next gig, into the next gig.
After that, pretty much. But at that point,
in a short
because it wasn't
couple months.
It wasn't a big band,
right.
It was signed to Universal
but
proper.
It feels huge when you're that age, and it's your first time.
At the time, it felt like a huge step up. In hindsight, it was nothing. But a fun experience.
The Foo Fighters, so
all works out in the end. Even Steven.
Yeah, and then 2006, you joined LOSTPROPHETS.
Oh, going here. This should have just been called an interview of all the stuff I don't want to talk about.
You said yes.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say whatever. They were a great band until they weren't, and Homeboy was a total creep, and and you left years before that.
This is for sure, but this is a weird thing as well. And Foo Fighters was just in the UK doing some stuff, and I don't know if you've met or if you've heard of a lovely guy named Daniel P. Carter. Has a radio show over there, BBC.
Oh, nice.
And a weird thing where in the moment things seem like complete chaos, but when you are able to view them in hindsight, it looks like a straight line of the one thing that led to the other to bring us to the present. But at that time, I did not know Daniel P. Carter. I did not know the band. But Daniel was in a band, I believe, called A, who had toured with Phoenix TX. So when Phoenix TX obviously fizzled and turned into these two other bands, Denver Harbor being one of them, he kept track of what was to become of Phoenix TX. When LOSTPROPHETS needed a drummer, I don't know why. I don't know if the guy got fired or if he left, but Daniel said, you should check out this kid from San Diego. I had never met this guy. I had no idea that anybody beyond, Santa Ana or San Diego knew of Denver Harbor. But anyway, this weird thing. And then that was a huge opportunity because it went from, domestic touring, one tour of Japan, to all of a sudden playing massive festivals.
Yeah.
First time in arenas, big stuff. And again, back then it felt like a long time. But in hindsight, it was like 06 to 07. That takes us to the Reading and Leeds Festival. And we were playing right before 9 Inch Nails. So Trent saw me play because a dear friend recommended, hey, why don't you go check out my buddy? Having known Trent for as long as I have, I'm shocked that he did.
Specifically, go check out the drummer.
Yes. And, he did. So then you go the following year when Josh announces that he's leaving Nine Inch Nails, Trent got in touch with me. And that's how I kind of view that era of my life as like, no pun intended, but like year zero. Everything before that is BC,
Yeah.
you know?
It developed you and your skills to get you to.
It did, but obviously for that band, I mean, that's something that it's very obviously awkward to talk about because of what a horrendous disaster that ended up in. But that was many years after I'd already been with Nine Inch Nails for 5 years by the time
that happened. Yeah, geez.
So yeah, but from that point forward, there was always, like you were saying, a sense of overlap. Like this led to that. I had a wide open space and time between Nine Inch Nails tours, which is when Tom called me for some Angels and Airwaves stuff, and somehow I never had any conflict with those two. That's
incredible.
That really worked out well. And just one thing led to another, and now it's 2026 somehow.
Trent sees you play at Leeds, remembers this kid's special. You're like 18 at Leeds, probably.
Yeah.
19?
Yeah, because this was 07.
And Leeds, if you don't know Leeds, you do if you're in the UK, but legendary festival.
Reading and Leeds are one of the pinnacles.
So Nails was main headliner and you guys were direct support?
Smashing Pumpkins was the main headliner, then Nails.
Wow.
Then Lost Prophets.
He sees you play, and then, so I hear the story that you got an email from Trent?
Yeah.
What does that email say? Pull it up. We have a screenshot. Just kidding.
Something along the lines of, Trent from Nine Inch Nails here. Looking for a drummer. You interested? I think you'd kill these songs. Do you want to come out and audition, try it out? And they were, at the time, this is 08, late 08, they were in the middle of the Lights in the Sky tour. So they were auditioning people at sound checks.
Wow.
And that's what that was. So he sent me a list of about 8 songs.
And you went to the San Diego show?
No, I don't even think that tour went to San Diego. I could be wrong, but I flew out to the East Coast. I want to say New Hampshire or something.
You flew out for the audition?
Yeah, I was able to, I thought that would be worthwhile to go fly out and do it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you auditioned in the venue?
Yes, sound check on stage.
That's crazy.
Josh's drums.
Josh's drums.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
This is a good story. Terrifying at the time, and I'm not talking about playing with Nine Inch Nails. I had this weird thing. It took me a really long time to figure out what I'm about to tell you. So, for whatever reason, leading up to this audition, I had a doctor's appointment, right? And I went to the doctor. They're looking through the records, and the doctor says, you've never had blood drawn, have you? And I'm like, no. I'm like, well, I wouldn't feel like a good doctor if I didn't at least just get, just a regular blood test, just make sure everything's where it needs to be. I was like, okay. So I did it. Took a lot of blood first time. And then the doctor says, don't use your left arm for the next couple of days. And I'm like, right, okay. Play drums all day.
Yeah.
Play drums all day. Went on a plane the next day. Went to the arena the next day, which was freezing. And then I started playing the way that I play. I was giving it my all. And it was going great. 1, 2, 3 songs. By around song 4, the weirdest thing happened to my left arm where I looked at it and it was like visibly swollen, like Hulk arm or something like that. And I was like, I had never tensed up in my life. Still young back then. And
like 20 or 19. Yeah.
It's a lot. Not that it's hard now, but when you don't even warm up, you just go out and do it.
Just go. Yeah.
And I felt it, but I could see my arm. And my dear friend, Jeremy, was there. And I was like, do you see this? He's like, yeah. And at that point, I made a really, probably, I don't know if it was the smartest move. It happened to work out. But I went up to Trent and I was like, I'm going to keep playing. This weird thing is going on. I don't care. I'll play if my arm falls off. But I'm just letting you know, if the playing starts suffering in any way, that's why, but let's keep going. And he's like, okay, has this ever happened? I was like, no. He's like, okay. And then we stopped playing, and I'm thinking, did I just blow this?
Oh, no, yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing tomorrow? I was like, nothing. He's like, why don't you just come to the next show? Let's play the rest of the songs that we had. And I was like, oh, thank God I didn't blow it. And then went to the next show. I don't know where it was, but played the rest of the songs. I know it was 8 in total. And then right after that, he offered me the job.
Your arm was fine the next day?
I mean, I stretched it out. I warmed it up. And like I said, I mean, nothing was going to get in the way. If it fell off, I would still play.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way that I am.
For
and
sure.
I'm not going to let something like an arm that's swollen and not working get in the way of playing well.
That's crazy.
But it was terrifying. And
Yeah.
the scarier part of that was that I had no idea why.
Mm,
And it wasn't until I'm talking years, where I was like, I had a swollen arm. I went flying, which is weird for your circulation and swelling anyway. And then I went to a freezing cold place, played, and I just think my arm said, what is going on here? And it was bizarre. But
What's bizarre is that was your first time getting your blood drawn at age 20.
I know that isn't
That's so weird.
Got to talk to my mom about that or
Yeah,
something.
you were really sheltered. They're like, just take my blood and pretend it's his.
Yeah. The thought of that story made me feel ill for a long time. I'm like, things could have been very different.
So what's crazy is Trent has said that like your audition like blew him away, and you had that going on.
Yeah, well, I was just relieved that right after we played, he's like, let me go talk to the guys. And I only had to wait in misery for like 3 minutes. And he's like, we'd be honored to have you. I'm like, done. Let's do it.
No way.
Yeah. So then
Still there that day.
minutes after
What?
Yeah. So I didn't have a painful kind of like, is this working out? Is it not working out? Do I have to fly home in shame?
Yeah.
You know, but it worked out. I watched the show that night, which was an incredible show. Josh did a fantastic job. And then just watching something of that magnitude, knowing in a couple of months, I'm going to be doing that. And I had a tremendous amount of material to learn. They sent a B rig of the electronics rig for the drum stuff to my parents' house, which was where I was still living. And it was my first experience with, electronic pads and playing to tracks and auxiliary kick pedal. All that stuff was new to me. So it was just a very exciting time. But that turned into almost 17 years.
That's crazy. You did the audition, they walk away for 3 minutes, they come back. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
It was a tremendous relief.
That's the best way possible. You're really good at auditions. You make people feel happy.
It's not something I knew I could do.
Like, what is your mentality?
Good question. All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. No, I mean, look, there's no...
We're an hour and a half in. It took me a long time to get to the good stuff.
Hit another one of those stupid buttons. That's good. I like that. I think a lot of people make a mistake in trying to show what they can do at an audition, trying too hard to make something theirs. And again, going back to the making people feel comfortable, you want to do, in my opinion, you want to do what they are used to and sort of impress them by them feeling like they don't notice the transition. It's like there's nothing to worry about. And fortunately, my situation has always been that I go in, I learn the material as it's learned. And Nine Inch Nails is a great example of a band where the live renditions are drastically different to the recorded material, especially considering most of it doesn't even have acoustic drums. The stuff takes on a completely different energy live. So I learned, this is early days of YouTube. 07, 08.
It's like the first year or two of YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube, I got the Beside You in Time DVD, so I watched what Josh was doing. I got the, actually my brother Danny had, and All It Could Have Been, the live show. So again, did my research and learned what I needed to do. But fortunately with every band, whether it's Nails or Angels or whoever, I would go in with the same mentality of learning things as they were. And every single time it was like, hey, what would you do? How would you make this more your own? Okay, we're in this section. Do your own thing. And there was a funny moment that I'll remember where, this is probably sometime in 2013, but we were rehearsing and we were playing the song Suck. And live, Jerome Dillon would do these fills. And because I had And All It Could Have Been, I learned those fills verbatim. in that little kind of solo part. And I remember playing the song, and afterwards, Trent was like, "Whatever you did at the beginning sounds like whoever did it. Do whatever you want there." And then there would be moments in the shows that were just kind of designed to go off the rails a little bit in a very finite amount of time, because again, you're playing to tracks, you're playing to a click. It's not like you can just go and come back whenever you want. So whether it was the end of I'm Afraid of Americans or the end of Piggy or eventually Perfect Drug, those moments would be built in for me to kind of just take off and come back. And this is a long way of saying that my philosophy for auditioning is to go in and do the best version of what they know. Because if you do that well, the next step is going to be, great, what else can you do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you go in and just try to shred and do stuff that nobody wants to hear or get in the way of vocals and just make people feel kind of off kilter, how could that possibly work in your benefit?
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless you're, I mean, I've never auditioned for some like virtuoso jazzbo band where people just, you know, shred throughout the whole thing. And, you know, maybe that's what they want. I don't know. But in terms of just playing in established bands and people who've been touring and playing these songs millions of times, you know, they don't really want to feel like, because if somebody feels uncomfortable, even if they like you, even if they know you can play well, I would assume that the next thought is, how long is it going to take for us to get to where we left off? You know, or just that level of comfort. So I say, learn things as they are, be aware of the current arrangements of what's going on, but just give it your all in that context. You know, worst case, what happens, you nail what they're used to, and then the next thing is, let's play that again, but change it up. And there you go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start doing things differently, I mean, as a band leader, I would not like that. Because then
sure.
I'd be like, why don't we just get the basis taken care of, and then we'll see what happens.
I mean, yeah, because you're not the boss when you're auditioning, right?
Exactly.
So doing it your own way is
Yeah.
like, unless you're asked to do that from the top.
And I've been in weird positions where I've actually seen people audition, and it's felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I know what this guy's thinking. And it's not.
That's
That's the wrong path.
It's the wrong mentality.
Go the other way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've kind of only auditioned twice. Actually, no, 3 times. But yeah, and that's been my mentality every time.
Each one life-changing audition, though.
And hopefully, I just never have to audition ever again.
Yeah, he's a creature of habit. Let's just.
I'm a creature of habit. I like,
keep you
know,
Foo Fighters until you're 70, because you know it's still going to be going. You know, Foos is going, bro. Playing with nails looked like it was a great time.
Absolutely,
so much fun. And you playing. I mean, you being a multi-instrumentalist, so like March of the Pigs. You playing drums, ripping into it, going to the piano, playing that iconic keys line on Doesn't It Make You Feel Better, and then going right back to just driving.
Well, I will say that Trent was the first guy who I had encountered who saw my other abilities as an asset and not as threatening. Other bands, if I would pick up a guitar, people be like, what are you doing with that? Your drummer. Not that I would even try to like impose myself on other instruments. They just, you could very clearly tell that there was threat in the air, the feeling of threat.
Wow.
And when I joined Nine Inch Nails, that was I believe, I could be wrong, the only time that Nine Inch Nails had been a 4-piece. So Trent saw me as an asset, and rather than, because you have to keep in mind when Josh took off, Alessandro also took off for the first time. So there were too many sort of posts to fill, so to speak. So it's like, well, he plays piano. Why doesn't he just play these keyboard parts? Maybe we can just put some other stuff on tape. At that time, Justin Noel Johnson, JMJ was playing. So he got some keyboard parts. Robin got some keyboard. We're kind of just able to disperse some of the stuff. You know, what Alessandro did to Nine Inch Nails was very unique, a very, and I mean this in the best way, a very niche skill set that is something that not a lot of people can do. And he's also a multi-instrumentalist. I mean, it's a fantastic guitar player. But anyway, we were able to kind of get by in that 4-piece setting, but it was because he saw the value in what else I could do aside from playing drums, whether it was some backing vocals, piano, and eventually it would turn into playing a good amount of bass. You know, when we came back in 2013 for Hesitation Marks, Pino Palladino played on that album. And I'm not comparing myself in any way because Pino's just beyond phenomenal.
Lord of the bass.
But there were a lot of songs from that album that required bass playing, and everyone else was kind of busy doing their own things. And there were only 2 songs on that album that I'm aware that I can recall that had acoustic drums on them. And because the stuff was electronic, I was able to just go play bass on stuff like All Time Low, and I don't know, the songs are slipping my mind because we kind of only played them on that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But that would then, that time, he's like, do you play cello? I was like, not yet. But
Do you play cello?
He's like, well, there's some cello parts that I think would be cool. If you're up for it, I'll get you some lessons if you want to try it. So I did. I am not a cellist by any means. Thank God the 3 songs I had to play were all in the same key, lots of open strings, a little bit of whiteout, and and it worked out well. But just the
he knew you could do it.
Just the mindset of what else can he do and how can it enhance what I'm trying to go for.
Yeah.
Tom, same way. Tom loved that I could play other instruments. So when I first joined the band, Angels Airwaves, he was looking for someone who could help with writing and just kind of, I don't want to say steer things, but just get other perspective, other flavors in there. And that was great. And it was just very different to what I'd been used to, which was, you're the drummer, play drums.
Yeah.
Put down that guitar.
Well, you're the longest running drummer of 9 Inch Nails.
I am.
So like,
I'm easy enough to get along with, I would say.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You're talented and then you kind of just don't get in the way.
Yeah. Who wants to get in the way?
Yeah, I
You
do. Unfortunately. Do you have any advice on how to keep the gig?
Well, it's a good question. The only answer I have is just do a good job. Don't be an asshole. It's that simple.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, if you are in a situation to where you've gotten a job, you're there because you can do it, you can play well, or you're incredibly lucky, or all of the above. So once you're there, it's yours to not ruin.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be pretty easy to not ruin something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people do underestimate, and this is for people looking to join bands or maybe who haven't toured before. Once you're in a situation where you're part of a group of people who's always moving together and is always hanging out together, personality goes a long way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Nobody wants to deal with an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And I dare say that people would take less of a musician with a better personality than a better musician and a prick.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
And I think that is something that should be understood if that dynamic hasn't been thought of.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
probably also helps that you're naturally a creature of habit too.
You know, I slot in.
Yeah,
find my way, and that's that. But definitely a creature of habit.
So there's this video of you playing The Perfect Drug.
Yep.
Looks super fun.
Mm-hmm.
And your hi-hats are flopping around all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get those floppy hi-hats?
Well, you just got to set the distance apart from the 2 cymbals to a wide enough but a comfortable place.
But the bottom hi-hat is flopping so much. You're just hitting that hard?
I mean, I'm not actively trying to make the hi-hats flop, but you know, I don't know what it's called, the little wing nut beneath the sort of seat of the bottom hi-hat. I generally have that flat, so there's no kind of friction. And because I have my hi-hats pretty spread apart, probably like, it depends what it is, but left to my own devices, probably like 1.5, almost 2 inches, probably some more of that bottom stuff, because you want those splashes to be nice and pronounced. At least I do. I prefer to hear that without the cymbals hitting each other.
Yep.
And then you have the ability to, you know, kind of lightly keep your foot down on the pedal if you want a little more of the, you know, the hi-hats being closer together.
Absolutely.
But I think that's it. You know, I also don't have the hi-hat on the clutch too tight. That probably gives you some wiggle room. Interesting question, Elmo. How do you make those hi-hats move?
When I was looking at those floppy hi-hats, I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
How do I?
That's
I
it.
hit pretty hard.
Give
but
give yourself a couple of inches between the cymbals.
I knew it was just a couple of inches. I knew it.
Not too tight on the clutch, and make sure that wing nut beneath the seat of the bottom hi-hat is completely neutral.
Okay, neutral nut.
Yeah.
Your hair.
Yes, onto the good stuff. Yeah.
What do you do to your hair, man?
I don't do anything to my
Yeah, because your brothers, you guys all got, it's just the gene.
we all have different flavors of curly hair.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't do anything. In fact, I've been traumatized in the past of letting the wrong person cut my hair. So I go often enough way too long between haircuts just because I'm scared of getting scarred.
Yes.
But it's not something I really think about. It's not something I put effort into.
You got the upward fan?
You know what? I kind of don't like playing with a fan.
Okay.
Unless I have to. Because I find that, like, you get on stage, fan's blowing, it's cold. You don't want to be cold, right? So you have the fan off. But then you start playing a few songs, you start sweating. Then you turn on the fan. Then it's really cold because you're just blowing cold air on sweat and a wet shirt. So I generally do not use a fan unless I'm at a point where I really feel like I need it.
The reason why he's saying it's cold is because he only plays arenas and stadiums, which are the cold venues. If you're still playing clubs, you want that fan.
No. No, but you know how it is. You get, your shirt gets wet and you blow cold air on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's freezing all of a sudden.
Oh, I hate the life.
Yeah.
What's your pre-show routine as you're fighting the anxiety leading up to the show?
I'd say about an hour and a half before is when I start stretching out, do stuff at the pad, have a whiskey, chit chat.
Oh, a little whiskey.
One
whiskey?
Not necessarily. Certainly never overdo it.
Well, now you're in the Foo Fighters, so that can go up to a few whiskeys.
I've always been I'm going to sound super lame right now, but I've always been very responsible in that regard.
Same.
So I've never been in a situation where I'm like, I had too much to drink. I generally just don't.
Yeah.
But
you have one.
I like whiskey. One or two over an hour and a half. But I like whiskey.
Yeah.
And I'd rather drink whiskey than say a bunch of beer, because then you have a full bladder and nobody wants that. So there's a lot that goes into it. And not that the whiskey is a crucial part of the pre-show, but it's just creature of habit. Right. That's, hour and a half is when you start telling people who, if you've got friends or family, we're like, all right, I'm going to go start doing my thing. I spend more time stretching than I do, say, at the pad, but the pad is good for the hands.
Yes.
Stretching is good for forearms, everything else. So just a bit of both, and a lot of just talking and hanging out. And, with Foo Fighters, the pre-show is a very sort of fun, joyous environment. So it's just a lot of fun. And then before you know it, it's showtime. And I love that there isn't a lot of time between getting to the stage and starting. I mean, most of the shows that we've done so far, it's been like, you guys ready to go? And somebody hands Dave a guitar and he's already making noise running onto the stage. And you kind of just don't have time to really think about it. You just do it. And that's the way I've always wanted it to be.
Yes.
That's the one drawback to like a really production intensive show. It's like, it is an experience. It is this happens at this time and the intro takes this long. And then, I mean, God, the last 9 Inch Nails tour, the Peel It Back stuff, I didn't play till about like 10, 12, maybe 15 minutes into the show, and it felt like an hour or 10 hours. It was a great reveal, and it was a really well thought out show, but just hanging around being like, is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet?
You already got 10 minutes of click in your ear. You're not even at the kit.
I hated that part. And then again, the second the drums start, it's like, comfortable, relief. Yeah. But being like, hey, it's showtime. And then within a minute, someone's making noise and you're hitting stuff. And it's also, I love how informal those shows have been.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very old school in the sense of like, you hear, bootlegs of old bands. Everyone's kind of like checking their instruments before they start playing.
Yes.
I love that. And I've never done that.
Yeah.
So the fact that we go on stage and start hitting, ringing out cymbals and doing some fills, and it's like, by the time it starts, there's a level of comfort there.
Yes.
It's like, you know what everything sounds like.
Yeah.
You've already made some noise.
Yes.
That barrier's been broken. And then boom, showtime.
I know you guys are like a band from the 70s.
You know, the hair.
It's the hair.
You know,
it's the attitude. It's the energy.
Some facial hair.
So now you guys are backstage. They hand Dave his guitar. He just grabs the guitar and goes dun 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 dun.
No.
Dun, dun.
These shows, it's been just ringing it out, running out, and then it's like
screaming,
okay. And then
screaming,
and then everyone looks at each other. Everyone's ready, and then the dun-duns.
And then the dun-dun-duns. Got it. In 2020, you get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I do.
At a young, ripe age of 30-something.
32?
32. That's wild. With 9 Inch Nails. Amazing.
You know, it probably would have been 31 for who gives a shit, but it probably would have been 31, but obviously COVID, that whole thing got pushed to who knows when it actually went through.
Right.
Because, you know, they do the thing, the performance, the ceremony, but that all got scrapped and it was a like HBO special, I think.
That sucks that you had to be as old as 32 when it could have been 31.
You know, things that are important.
You want to be the youngest at everything, admit it.
I don't. It just happens to be that way sometimes, but.
So that's like a lifetime level honor.
It really is.
How do you process that while being like in the middle of your career?
My honest answer is it's an honor to have it. I'm thankful and grateful to have it because I know that Trent made the decision to have a few of the guys inducted alongside him. But I can't have the same level of pride that he would have because 9 Inch Nails is him. That's his baby. He started it. He sustained it. He grew it to the point to where he is in the Hall of Fame. I was just lucky to be a part of it for as long as I was, to be given that opportunity and to stretch it out for so long. And it is an honor. When I see that trophy at home, that's really nice. But I don't look at it and think, yeah, I did that, because I didn't. You know, I played drums alongside or behind the guy who did that, and I'm happy about it. But he must have a different level of pride where he's like, I am being awarded for my life's work in a way.
His creation.
You know?
Yeah.
So I look at it and I look at it as more like, thank you very much. Not as in, look what I did. Because
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my honest emotion attached to it.
That's a great, humble perspective. But what is so cool about that, I guess, as you're saying, in the thank you so much, is it's so cool that Trent valued you at that level.
Nice.
For him to be like, no, I want you to have this, and him fighting to make that happen.
Yeah, it was the band who had been around for a long time, and then key guys who were integral into the sort of evolution of 9 Inch Nails.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about professionalism for a moment.
Yeah.
You're the king of being professional, I feel like.
You feel that way, huh?
Well, you were 6 minutes late, but...
That's because I had a session that I was setting up for, but, I apologize first thing. 2 things landed on the same day.
It always works out for you.
And so here I am. But what's the first thing I said? You said, hey, what did I say?
I'm so sorry I'm 6 minutes late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
Professional.
Yeah.
What are the top things musicians should be doing?
Being professional.
To be a professional. A lot of musicians listen to this podcast, and they would love to be in the Ilan situation, but it's not just your talent that's gotten you here, right? Like, it's everything else about you. Like, what should musicians be doing? Like, message musicians, do this.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that, skills aside, or professionalism aside, attitude, whatever you want to call it, there is, let's be honest, there's a tremendous amount of luck involved. But luck can only truly be taken advantage of is if you're ready to succeed when the situation presents itself, and not taking any of those things for granted. So if you're going to go audition, for example, you better know those songs as if you're ready to go play on stage. Night 1, you're on tour, we're playing this song. That's how well and how comfortably you should be playing it. And I honestly think a lot of that is, I feel like it's common sense. I mean, do you go to a job interview and they say, well, tell me about yourself, or why do you want this job? And you go, I don't know. You have an answer prepared. And in the instance of music, the answer you need to prepare is nailing the material, right? personalities are all over the place, and you can only do so much, because look, I could be, for example, in a group of super rowdy people, and I would be the sore thumb that nobody wants to hang out with because I'm boring, right? So in a way, there's the luck of the draw there, and I have been very lucky, especially the better and further my career has gotten, the better people I've been around that have been a pleasure to hang out with. But you got to be prepared. You have to be easy to deal with. And it really comes down to that. What else could there possibly be?
Yeah.
But if you take this is for all musicians, if you take your craft seriously, and it's more than just I'm having fun, then when that opportunity presents itself and you are asked to audition for something, it's not a matter of am I good enough at my instrument, because you have put in the time to become a master of your craft or just become good at your instrument. I mean, not to sound pretentious, but you spend a lifetime playing, you should be pretty damn good, right?
Yeah.
So when that opportunity comes, you're ready, right? And knowing the material goes a really long way. What can I say?
Absolutely.
So do what you do well and don't be an asshole. Those are the words to live by.
You
get it, right?
I get it.
What more can you do?
I get it, man. I get it.
You can rely too much in either direction.
Yeah.
You could rely on being fun and being whatever and not good enough to where it counts, or you can be a shredder and great and you're an asshole. You gotta be the best of both.
Yes. That's good advice. It's good advice.
My brother Aaron would always say, like, you remember Wii tennis?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you pick your player, they have like their kind of stats. Really good at attacking or not so good at defense or whatever. It's kind of, you just try to keep everything as even as possible. Don't have a glaring weakness.
Yeah. It all comes down to Wii tennis.
Yeah.
Shout out to Aaron.
Yeah.
You and I, we bumped into each other in 2016 at a coffee shop in Hollywood.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was you and Aaron.
Uh-huh.
And you were like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I just finished rehearsal with Juliette Lewis, because I had just gotten the Juliette Lewis gig.
That's right.
And I forgot if it was you or Aaron, but one of you were like, who's opening? And
was that how it was?
Yes. One of you was like, who's opening? Mm-hmm. And I was like, we don't have an opener yet. And then either you or Aaron, I forgot, was like, consider the new regime.
Well, that probably would have been him because he was managing.
Yeah, because he was managing. Yeah. And that doesn't sound like you.
No, I'm far too quiet and reserved.
That's why you need Aaron.
But yeah, that was a fun tour that we did.
So I literally went from that coffee shop and I went to rehearsal, and I was with Juliette, and we had an awesome band. We had a great tour we were about to leave on, and I was like, yo, Juliette, like who's opening the tour? And Juliette's cool as shit, as you know. She's the best.
Fantastic.
Juliette was like, so I'm like, Juliette, who's opening the tour? She's like, I don't know. And I'm like, are we looking for an opener? She's like, why? Do you have a suggestion? And I was like, yeah, how about the new regime? They're really awesome. It's my boy Ilan. He's in 9 Inch Nails. Oh, badass. He's in 9 Inch Nails. I'm like, yeah. And they're he's the front man of this band. They're a great band. We should consider him. She was like, okay, yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Yes. Thanks, Elmo.
And then
Thank you.
And then literally, manager was there. I went to manager. I was like, these guys would be awesome. Sent them new regime.
Yeah.
And it happened.
And it was a lot of fun.
And we got to do that tour together, and it was fun.
She is an excellent performer, really good singer. And
oh my God, Juliette Lewis is as good of a front woman as she is an actress. Like she, if anything, even better. Like she's such a good front woman.
She's fantastic. That was a really good time. I look back at those memories fondly. And then actually a guy who used to play with her, who was not in her band at the time, a guy named Kimball.
Oh yeah. Kimball's super cool.
So then he came and played bass for New Regime for like the last couple of tours that we did.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
So yeah.
I was bummed that he wasn't in that version that I toured with, even though I loved our ensemble that we had too.
He's such a good dude. But yeah.
That was fun. Okay. 2011, you joined Angels Airwaves.
Yep.
What's your relationship like with Tom DeLonge?
Right now or then?
Both.
Well, then I didn't have one.
Okay.
We had mutual friends, probably the old San Diego thing.
That old thing.
That old thing. But yeah, we, it's funny. Tom knows what he wants. And when he wants something, he just goes after it. And I'm not saying that in the sense that I was like pursued or courted or anything, but there was no audition. It was like, you want to do this?
Yeah.
You should do, I see this other stuff. You should do this. And it was fun. Talked to him on the phone for a bit. Blink was touring. And I went to his studio. He used to have a pretty large studio up in the Carlsbad area where he kind of ran his companies out of. There's a big studio built in the back. And that was cool. Really nice space to hang out and play in, and kind of like their Angels Airwaves sort of clubhouse.
Yeah.
But he was touring with Blink at the time. I was in Nine Inch Nails, but things were so spread apart. So that whole first album that we did together, The Dreamwalker, was written and recorded when we happened to both be home at the same time.
Nice.
So it took a lot longer than it should have.
Right.
But yeah, that was that. I mean, Tom is such a funny guy that it's impossible to not get along with him, you know?
Yeah.
But he also knows exactly what he wants and what he's after, whether it's within a song, whether it's in stage production, whether it's an alien, whether it's a motorcycle. He's just, he knows what he wants. And he has, and I mean this in the best way, he has this like, this juvenile excitement, and that's part of his thing. Yeah. You know? Speaking about the alien, I got a funny story for you.
Tell me.
So when my wife and I got married, we finished the ceremony. Everyone kind of goes to the reception or whatever. And she and I go up to the suite or whatever for her to kind of like get out of the wedding dress and having some champagne or whatever. And we finally get down to the reception room. And the first two people I see are Tom and Trent. And Tom's a really tall guy. And he's kind of like just hovering over Trent. His phone's out, and I know how this goes. So, hey, check this out. And I'm thinking, I'm like, what is he possibly showing him right now? And then I go straight up to him, like, hey, guys, how's it going? Tom's like, dude, congratulations. I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to get a drink. And then I was like, Trent, what's going on? He's like, that dude just showed me a dead alien. So it's like, nobody else could conduct themselves in that way and it be normal, but he's just so unapologetically him. It's infectious. It's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I'll always remember that.
Oh,
funny guy.
It's a great pull quote.
Yeah. But he and I, we get along great. And it's one of those relationships where, I mean, obviously he's been exceptionally busy. Aside from all the stuff that he does, he's been exceptionally busy since Blink got back together in its form. But it's one of those things where it could be a year, a couple years. I mean, most of our dialogue is stupid videos on Instagram. Yeah. It's not a, hey man, how are you? Haven't talked to you in a while. It's look at this idiot dancing and singing terribly, haha, whatever. But when we do hang or talk, it's like no time has passed, which I think is a really good indicator of
it's beautiful,
solid friendship.
That's a good friendship.
He's a great dude. But you know, the Angels thing was weird because I came in when I did. They were just about to put out their third album. So Adam had already played all the drums on it. And I was there to do some touring. And we did a little bit of touring. But then immediately after that, Angels kind of went on a 7-year hiatus, you know? So that was that. And then it was very surprising when I want to say around 2019, he's like, I want to tour again. It's like, for real? Because it's been a while. You know, he had put out music and EPs and stuff like that. But yeah, I've spent within my time with Angels and Airwaves, most of it has been not in Angels and Airwaves because it wasn't playing live.
Right,
you know?
right.
But I think the last album that we put out was a really solid and big step in a different direction. That I'm happy with the way that one came out, and the tours were fun. I mean, how can they not be?
Absolutely.
You know.
It's 2026. We got to talk about this for a moment.
Yeah.
Are you using any of the AI tools? What are your thoughts in general about AI, music AI specifically?
What kind of AI tools?
I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. Like, I know you're not sitting there like prompting and getting songs coming out of it, but like, are you using, like, have you used Moises, like the stem separators?
I've heard of that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I don't use any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared of AI, to be honest with you.
Tell me about it.
It's just, that to me seems like the beast that will be uncontainable. And I don't like that. And obviously there are actual things to be worried about as opposed to music just getting shittier. I mean, the thing with that is that you don't need AI for music to get shittier. It's already been happening for a very long time.
For sure.
This just makes it easier to be shittier and and more prolific at being shitty.
Yes.
That's my take on that. But as far as tools with stem separation, it's like that's one of those things where you can go, oh, that's a cool thing. But is that one cool thing worth all the damage? I mean, sometimes I wish that internet didn't exist, for example. I'm like, it's a great tool. Everything is there on the internet. You can learn whatever you want. You can research whatever you want. You can see whatever you want. But then you're like, oh, the worst of the worst is on and from the internet. So
and
you're
they
like,
come out there.
It's horrible. And and there you think, is it worth are the pros and cons evening out?
Yeah.
I would say yes with the internet, email, keeping in touch, all that, great. With AI in music, do I feel like the pros are outweighing the cons? No. Even when I think I'd venture to say that people are probably most impressed with, AI videos, for example.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing that you can just type in a prompt and this thing that looks pretty damn real comes out of, materializes out of nowhere. But that's scary because
that's scary.
Because only,
and we're seeing it right now.
And the better it gets, everything you look at, you have to verify.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine being into something that's not generated by people.
Right.
And I'm scared of people who would be satisfied by that.
Yeah.
I like the song. A computer made it. There's just something so off about that.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess even computer generated art, right? But art is the thing that you look at, whereas music is something that is, it is created and can be changed based on its performance. And I think because music is so performance based, to realize that it was never performed to begin with, it's so strange to me. And I hope people, I mean, look, the genie's out of the bottle. It's only going to get worse, but I'm not happy about it.
Good thing you're in the Foo Fighters.
No clicks, more guitars.
Not even a metronome.
Yeah.
Keep it in the 70s.
Yeah.
All right, final question.
Hit me.
What's the story of the watch you're wearing? Is that an Omega?
It is. This is actually a gift from a friend. This is one of those.
Is that a Seamaster?
It is. You got a Seamaster too.
My
I
bro.
see that. Yeah.
We're both rocking Seamasters.
This is one of those. I think Daniel Craig helped design this one. It's a James Bond one.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like the James Bond one from like a couple of years ago.
Are you an Omega man?
I'm a watch man.
Yeah.
So I love Omegas. I love Omegas. Yeah.
It's a dangerous world to get into.
Are you a watch guy?
I am. Look, I can't even say that I am. I'm fascinated by them, but it was a very late discovery in my life because just based on my personality, being obsessive and not knowing when to stop, I kind of avoided them because I'm like, this is only going to go to a bad place.
yeah, for sure.
Because the more you get into watches, the ones you want happen to be way more expensive.
For sure.
And then you learn about different complications and how that affects everything. And it's a very easy way to go broke if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate that I've been gifted some very nice things that I'm very appreciative of.
It's amazing.
And this was one of them. And I love this watch.
Who gifted it to you?
Just a friend.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a great gift.
Very nice. Yeah. And I'm into it. But it's one of those things like, I mean, the fact that, I could never even imagine getting into this territory, but the fact that something on your wrist could be as much as one of the greatest grand pianos in the world is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
But I am fascinated by, especially with more complicated watches.
Yeah.
Like, perpetual calendars. I'm like, what goes into how? Yes.
How?
Yes. So it's fascinating. I like them, but I'm also, I try not to get too excited.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I've probably got about 40 to 50 guitars. If that were watches, I'd be on the street.
That's millions of dollars.
It's
Real quick money topic, because I feel like musicians need to talk about this more, but where do you invest your money?
I have a financial advisor. I give it to him. Very early on, I was given it's a sort of test where you fill it out to see how averse you are to risk. And turns out, in that regard, I'm very conservative. Very
I was going to pin you as conservative.
I'm not a big risk taker.
Oh, I do both.
Well, you got to diversify.
Yeah. Are you diversified?
I am.
You got some crypto?
I am. Unfortunately.
Just keep holding.
Yeah, got in at the wrong time there. But that was a very modest investment.
Yeah.
That was like, I've seen too many amazing stories to not try, but yeah, definitely at the end of that train.
You're not buying stocks, or you have your guy doing it?
I have a financial advisor doing it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. At some point, would I like to be more interested? Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. Don't really. Is this something you talk to guests about?
Yeah, save your money, musicians. You need to invest it. Put it in something.
That's an interesting question. I didn't think we'd go there. So tell me about you. I mean, Mr. Entrepreneurial Businessman.
Where am I investing?
Yeah.
I am investing. Well, I always I always max out whatever I can into the retirement funds, of course.
Good man.
Do that every year. Gotta think of that.
Samesies.
Got to do that.
Yeah.
And then I buy a lot of stocks. I have a
that you vet yourself.
Like that I vet myself. I have a financial manager as well who does like my safe stuff. Like, here's the safe money. Don't be too risky. Like my conservative.
Yeah.
And then I play with my non-conservative. So I mean, I'll also buy a lot of like VOO and like index.
Do you
super
stick to the 10% rule of where you're playing fast and loose with your risk?
I try to, but I tend to then go off the rails sometimes too. Like, I mean, I have crypto. I actually just invested in SpaceX. I got in the final private round of SpaceX. Tell Tom.
Okay.
He'll get
He's got his own rocket.
Yeah. Tell Tom. I, little tiny bit of startup investing. Like, it's fun to write some small angel checks and like get in early with companies and stuff like that. But no, mostly I'm either spending it on Robinhood, like buying stocks. Like, I mean, the dip that just happened, I bought some of the SaaS companies that dipped when like AI got crazy and everyone got scared. So I have some fun with it. I enjoy it.
Have you always been into it?
No, I wish I got into it. Honestly, it was a COVID thing when I was sitting there with COVID. Like, I want to say I started buying stocks and crypto in 2020 and wish I had done it earlier. Not that I ever had a ton of money earlier or anything like that, but even just to be able to put in a little bit of money, like even if I could have just put $1,000 here and there somewhere, $500 here and there over the years, which I could have done for sure. But instead, I think you're not enough musicians talk about that. I was never taught that. So you end up just spending your money, right? Or you have money sitting in a checking or a savings account that's just essentially losing money with inflation. So I wish I was educated earlier on that, which is why I bring it up, because not that we're giving financial advice, but just to look up for yourself, like start at least saving and then putting your money somewhere. You can put it really safe places.
Yeah, I was taught to invest very early on.
Nice.
Now, it's not something that I do extremely consistently because, you got to be able to put it aside. But the one thing that I would say I'm good at in that regard is that once I've invested into something, I do not pay attention to it. Yeah. I'm not constantly monitoring it. Yeah. Because that could drive somebody crazy. Yeah. So I don't do that. If I'm in a position to invest something, it's gone. I don't pay attention to it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, especially with the inconsistency of touring, I mean, you mentioned COVID. Yeah. Interestingly enough, hearing you say that's when you got into it, because when COVID started, I was like, I don't know when I'm going to tour, if ever again. Who knows? Yeah. So that was obviously an eye opener, because I don't think anybody anticipated a situation in which people were not allowed to play or hang out with other human beings outside. And because, I mean, especially within the last 20 plus years, I mean, even especially the larger bands, as album sales dwindled, touring became the real moneymaker. Right? So when you take that out of the equation, then you think, what can I do? And from my house. Yeah. So that was interesting. And I kind of, within music, diversified myself. At that time, I was able to take advantage of the time. Yeah. It was really amazing to sit down. I actually loved lockdown. I think we're at a point where we can say that without sounding offensive. Yeah. Me being an introvert, I loved being at home and thinking
You were just making New Regime music.
I can
You
do
were going
whatever I want.
crazy.
Actually, COVID's what stopped the New Regime because I put out an album in March of
I love that album.
2020.
That was the last
Thank you.
New Regime album.
It was.
Yeah.
And I just, once this became, oh, we're not going to be back by July.
Yeah.
Remember that? It's like lockdown, but by July, things should be okay. I just, I'd done music under the name The New Regime long enough where I was like, I don't want to come out of this in however many months or years and just try to pick up where I left off. It's like, this is an opportunity to just start a new chapter. I mean, it's still just me, but doing music under my own name.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of getting into production, because I had always done my own stuff alongside my brother. He co-produced the New Regime stuff, but thought it'd be an asset as a producer and a writer for other people. I always wanted to get into scoring.
Yeah.
Especially since one of my great musical passions is classical music, orchestral music. Scoring is that place where you can really throw everything into whatever is demanded, So got an agent for film composition during then and just was able to pursue these other things. And then, of course, when touring came around, was it late 2021, maybe? That was a giant breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you fast forward, you got a bunch of fires in LA. The world's ending. Who are we kidding?
You had to bring it there right as we're ending right now.
Let's end on a low note.
Look, man, we can't end on a low note because as we end, you go back to your life of being in the Foo Fighters.
That's true. That's
awesome.
True.
I'm so happy for you, bro.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming over. Let's hang again soon.
Let's do it.
Tell your wife hello.
I will.
She's
absolutely.
awesome.
Is there anything else I can answer for you before I get back to work?
I would love one thing.
Hit me.
I would love to know, because a lot of musicians listen to this show, what has been a great learned lesson that you've had in this so long yet so short career you've had?
Really, and this is coming from experience, obviously, you never know what could lead to the next thing. So I'm not saying that you need to pursue everything as a means to an end, because that's gross in its own way. But just being aware that things can come out of nowhere and you got to be prepared and you got to be ready. And again, you never know what can happen. And the reason why I say you never know what can happen is given how I was just about to end this interview by saying the world's ending and let's end on a low note.
And I always lift everything up.
I can catastrophize plenty, and I do, and it's such a waste of energy. Because
at least you know that.
I'm well aware of it. But it's, again, I said it about something earlier, in the moment, everything feels like chaos. But when you look at it in hindsight, it looks like a very steady line of one thing leading to the next, leading to the next. Of course, it wasn't. Did I think I would get a call from Foo Fighters the day before I got it? No way in hell. That was so left field, Did I think I'd get an email from Trent or whatever? Any of these huge moments in my life, I could not have foreseen, nor did I approach them. They happened, and I was able to make the most of it when they presented themselves. But I'm well aware that I waste a lot of energy thinking about worst case scenarios, how bad things are, blah, 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 blah. And then when things get better, you think, why was I in that headspace for so long? Granted, do as I say, not as I do. I mean, I'll probably be doom scrolling later today before I go to bed, contemplating reality. But, that's a...
Dude, just go have fun being in the Foo Fighters, bro. Come on, Ilan. Let's go. And if you ever need anything, you call me, call your boy anytime. I'll drive to the valley.
Yeah.
You can come over. I got drums in the basement. Not that you
Great.
want to play drums on your day off.
Who wants to do that?
Oh my God. We're past that point in our career.
I actually have to go play drums right now.
I know. You're going to go right now. And great to see you, bro. Make a ton of noise. It's Ilan.